Hi everyone, Happy New Year and welcome to the brand new podcast, What's Up Geeks. Well, if you're tuned into this expecting Talking Tech podcast, don't be surprised. Like we told you in the last week that your favorite podcast is going to be back in a new avatar with lots of fun and the things which you love intact, including my co-host Vinayak. Vinayak, welcome back. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year and hi everyone. Happy New Year to you all too.
So Vinayak, it's kind of a new podcast at the same time a continuation of our old 2-year-old podcast. Yeah. So what can people expect from this? More tech, less tech, fun?
I think a balance, I guess. We'll have tech, but it's for everyone. That's what we actually are targeting.
Yeah, so the idea is to have all the tech coverage that you always liked, and we'll have Vinayak, of course, our resident geek. But we'll try to make the tech more accessible to everyone so that even people, I hate to use the word Aam Janta, but there's a tech podcast without the tech.
Yeah.
And so kind of a slow news part of the year. Like I think last couple of weeks also we did the recap of the 2018.
Yeah, I think but there was CES and all going on right now at the beginning of this month.
So let's get to our favorite section. We'll start off with broken news.
Yep.
So Vinayak, like you said, last year also we did our CES coverage. So CES is what? The Consumer Electronics Show?
Yeah. So CES actually, the Consumer Electronics Show, it was... it started on the 8th of Jan and it has gone like until yesterday it was actually running, and there were quite a lot of new products which I really loved in CES. One was the Samsung TV, I guess, which was modular, where it had separate pieces and you can just keep adding pieces up and you had a bigger TV according to how many pieces you just added there.
Lego TV.
Lego TV actually. And there was another one which was the LG rollable TV.
Yes.
So you had a box, and that box is like it's a subwoofer and it's a soundbar actually. And the soundbar contained the TV. So whenever you needed the TV, the whole TV just popped up when necessary.
I remember last year, in fact, you were talking about LG had a rolling up TV, right? Where they rolled up the entire display like a newspaper and they...
but this one, it's ready for, actually it is going to be shipped. And last year when they were showing the same concept, the thing was, it was not allowed to be touched. It was quite far away from everybody else.
So it was more like a demo piece.
It's like a demo piece. But right now, like people can go see behind it, how it works and what are the inputs. Everything can be seen right now.
Of course, one big complaint people do have about CES is that companies, like Vinayak said, they show off these incredible concepts. You know, roll-up TVs and Lego TVs and whatnot. Even the earliest they can be expected to come to market is usually a year. Sometimes they become vaporware, right? They show it in CES and you never see it again.
And there was also the Uber's flying car this time.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear about that.
So that was really cool actually.
But it's 2019. We are in the future. So get all the flying cars.
And I don't know, everybody has 2020 as the actual target, right?
2020, yeah. In fact, we are late by quite a few years. 2001, we were supposed to have flying cars and stuff. So, coming to of course, the year starts and the grind also starts. We've got phone launches coming up, and the first person to, kick off the event, the Samsung Galaxy S. So, Galaxy S10 is due on Feb 20th.
Yeah,
and Samsung has rolled out the invites.
I actually heard in the beginning it was supposed to be the end of January, but now they're shifted to again, I think Feb 20th.
Feb 20th, they have given out the invites.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm hoping for something big, but everything else seems like all old news, right? Fingerprint sensor on the screen, everybody's done that. Like even OnePlus has it right now.
Even OnePlus 60.
OnePlus 60 has that. And then I don't know. Do you like that?
The hole punch display. Yeah, that's something you're going to see a lot of in 2019, right?
I'm waiting for the Infinity display. There's another one which is the Infinity VO, and there's another one which is completely Infinity. There's nothing on screen.
So what Vinayak is talking about is phones where there is a concept shown where the camera is completely behind the screen.
Yes.
You don't have any notch. You don't have a hole. You don't have anything, and it just magically appears whenever
it's all behind the screen. So your screen is still active on top of that. I don't know how they're going to pull that off.
Yeah.
If you have something colored on top of it.
But as of now, for the Galaxy S10, what is confirmed is it's going to have a hole punch screen. So unlike a notch, which is like a teardrop in the top, like or what we see in almost every phone, including the iPhone.
The teardrop is only on the OnePlus 60.
OnePlus 60.
The iPhone still has that.
iPhone has a notch.
Happy
iPhone
face
has
kind
a notch.
of thing, right? You have two eyes.
Pixel XL has a bucket, a huge bathtub notch.
Yeah.
But Samsung has moved to this hole punch, which is basically you're going to have a small.
It is better than your standard notch designs.
Smaller.
It's smaller. Yeah.
Smaller.
And it's going to be placed in a place where you don't really notice it much, I guess.
But then, of course, expected to have the in-display fingerprint sensor, which, like you said, the 60 and many of the Vivo phones have also had.
Oppo, Vivo, all of them seem to have it.
All of them have had it.
But one important thing, which I've been really using on my Galaxy S9 Plus, is the headphone jack.
So there's no rumor on whether the headphone jack is going to be removed. Or,
if it gets too thin, maybe they might remove it.
Samsung has been one of the last major, in fact, not one of the, probably the last major manufacturer to still ship. I really do hope they don't buckle in and remove the headphone jack.
But if they have to make the phone thinner, but we don't want thin phones, we actually want bigger batteries. So that's my point of view. I don't know, maybe some people want thinner phones.
And there's also rumor that there are going to be 3 models, right? Normally you do have two. You have the Plus and you have the normal size.
One, but you have the other one which is the Lite, or what is it called?
T. I think it's Galaxy S10 T or something like that.
Yeah. So it's going to be smaller, basically smaller, and
a flat display.
Yeah, flat display and all that. Let's see. I'm not very sure.
So it will have, of course, the latest Snapdragon or Exynos.
855. I think the 855 is already ready from Snapdragon. So, and then they have their own stable, the Exynos stable. So the latest one from Samsung side, or in US you have the Snapdragon 855.
If all of this sounds really boring, there is one thing that's going to come from Samsung. They have teased the foldable phone, right? Where you just have a display, you unfold it and it becomes a tablet.
Yeah.
They showed it off last year.
They showed it off with a big shell. I don't think it's going to be that thick. If it's going to be that thick, it's going to be like your geometry box that you carry to school. So I'm not very sure. I hope it's not going to be that thick.
Yeah. So, but they have. I think Wall Street Journal or somebody has reported that they are pretty sure that at least they're not selling it. They're going to actually show it, demo it, and let people play around with the foldable phone.
There is another company, Royal Pi, or
there are a couple of even from I think
Xiaomi also has one actually.
Exactly.
That was pretty good. Xiaomi's one. So if it's going to be at least that thin with better internals, maybe.
Yeah, we should talk about trends in 2018, but maybe that's in another episode on what we can expect in tech in 2019. So, final thing before we move on to the story. As a Galaxy S worshipper, you're excited about the S10?
I don't know actually.
Wait and watch.
I'm thinking, let's see. If it's something really big comes out, maybe I might.
So, of course, you know where to stay tuned. For more news on Galaxy S10, we will update you on the rumors and everything else as they keep coming.
Yep.
Substantiated rumors.
Yeah.
If we are not one for speculating. Let's move on to the next one. Again, not good news for Apple.
Yeah.
I think around 3-4 episodes ago in Talking Tech podcast, we had discussed that Apple had cut production by 30%.
Yeah. Now another 10% is down.
Another 10%. And in between, there was another bit of bad news for Apple, where Tim Cook, I think during the earnings call, he actually said that they are cutting back their earnings forecast. I know there's a technology podcast. I hate to delve into the finance and business part of it. But yeah,
generally we bash Apple a lot, but actually Samsung.
You do that.
But Samsung and the others do not publish their earnings.
Yes. So typically Apple makes it. We've spoken about this before. Apple always in their events they tom their numbers, and the first signs of trouble came when Apple said, you know what? I think from now on, we are not going to tell you about our sales numbers. Immediately, people were like, okay, these guys love boasting about their numbers. So how come they stopped doing that? Then, of course, the rumors came in that the production numbers are being cut by 30%. Then, of course, Tim Cook came out. He also told investors that, we are cutting back our earnings forecast and now 10% more.
And it's totally 40% there.
40% of, which is almost half. They're not doing well in China and India, which is...
that's a big hit, I guess, for them. China... I think Qualcomm had a case against them, which actually caused
Software,
a big thing there also for them.
don't know about that.
Problem.
So, if you're an Apple fan, what does this mean to you? I mean, let's get down to the to brass tacks. It just means that maybe there's a chance that Apple might drop their prices. You never know. Knowing Apple, to make up for the loss in revenue, they'll jack up the prices even more, which is what they did in November. They jacked it up by 20% to make up for the loss in revenue. So they might do it again, or they might.
Well, a lot of people are speculating that they might drop it by 50% so that they at least make something instead of complete loss.
True. Yeah, 40% drop is big. So that's our inaugural broken news. Now, one of our we said we will be having a lot of news sections, and this is one of them. And what we're trying to do here, this is going to be the WhatsApp Geek interview. We are going to be bringing you interviews with people, not necessarily folks from the tech space. We will be having some interesting people from the tech space and non-tech space. But starting for the first episode, we have somebody very special, a very special guest.
Yeah.
Though he is not known for his technology, for his role in technology, I was so surprised to find out when I interviewed him that he is a certified geek. As you will find out at the end when we interview him, and we also had a pop quiz for him to test his geek quotient. And he came out on top. Spoiler alert, he aced the test. So let's get down to the WhatsApp Geek interview. And this is with Jay Panda. Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we have a very special guest, someone who I personally admire, and I suspect so do many of us. He is a former member of the Lok Sabha, representing the Kendrapara constituency in Orissa, and is currently keeping the nation on tenterhooks as we wait for him to announce his next steps. But in the meantime, he has an awesome book out, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. But we are not going to be talking politics if you're looking for that, since you know what podcast you're in. So let's get to know the geek side of our guest today, Mr. Baijayant Jay Panda. Welcome, Mr. Panda. Happy New Year, and thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure. Happy New Year to your listeners and to you, and a very happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, if I might start, you're an engineer, a pilot, and if I can say so, one of our more tech savvy parliamentarians, right? So, would you describe yourself as a techie or a tech geek in any way?
I think I'm a sort of a aging techie because yes, I have been very much into technology all my life. In fact, in 2003, my
Uh-huh.
website when it went up was the very first website of a member of parliament,
Yes,
uh,
yes, I was coming to that.
and I have always been into gadgets and into technologies. Um, but with more focus on politics and on work life, that has started taking a little bit of a backseat. So, for example, 10 years ago, I would always have a gadget that most people didn't have because I needed something that was not available in the ordinary. So, if you remember, when there was going back a little bit, there used to be something called the Palm Pilot, and
Yes,
I was one of the early users of that. And then when these handhelds came out, until the first iPhone came out, you could not have data connectivity on them.
yes.
And so I used to find special ways of getting data connectivity. For example, there was a compact handheld out, and you could buy a separate sleeve with an antenna, and you could have internet connectivity on that. So that was a crude version of pre-Android uh,
Oh, wow.
smartphone handset.
Oh,
But
wow.
all that became irrelevant because technology has come to a point that if I just have access to the latest generally available gadgets, then that pretty much meets all my needs. I don't have to have
True,
something
true.
that's in beta that
It's
won't be out for 2 years. I don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah, technology is more commoditized now and democratized, if I can use it.
Mhm.
So, in case listeners, in case you were wondering till now why we had a politician here, now you know he's established his credentials right off. So, Mr. Panda, world over, lawmakers, if I can say, in your profession, they don't really have a reputation of having a good grasp on technology, right? Whether it's West or even in India. So, with technology being so pervasive in every aspect of our life, is that a challenge? where our lawmakers might not necessarily understand technology?
Let me answer this in two ways. In other democracies, there is a system where lawmakers get to specialize in their own areas. For example, people who serve on a certain committee, maybe the Foreign Affairs Committee or the Information Technology Committee, they continue to serve on that for many years and they acquire domain knowledge. Whereas in India,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't quite work that way. And also, our committee systems work differently in Parliament, so that gaining of domain knowledge is still limited. Now, the second thing is generally there is a technology barrier. For example, for I first came to Parliament 18 years ago, and by the way, I was also in the Rajya Sabha, so I'm not just an ex-Lok Sabha member.
Right, right.
For many years, I kept trying to convince the Speaker of the House and the Vice President, who is the chairperson of the Rajya Sabha, to do away with paper questions and to have electronic versions and to have a screen at our seats. For the first 15 years, there was no success. And only about 3 years ago, the current speaker started implementing some of these suggestions. So it only became possible 3 years ago to file questions online. Otherwise, you had to have, we are killing forests every day by the amount of paperwork that goes into parliament. So we have this basic fundamental hurdle. And yes, I think as a society, we may be a little bit more conservative and not as eager to change as some Western societies are. But nevertheless, you have seen politicians who are very tech savvy. If you look at what Prime Minister Modi did 5 years ago, he was on top of
Right.
social media and he used it very effectively in his campaign. Others have caught up, and many politicians, many of my peers who used to make fun of tech savvy MPs, that used to be a pejorative term. That so and so is
Okay.
tech savvy. It means he was not a serious politician. That has changed completely in the last 3 to 5 years.
They can't afford to be to not be tech savvy.
Exactly, because now it is central to the main work of politicians, which is to communicate, which is to reach out to constituents, which is to make a presence felt. And the online presence today is important by itself and also important to communicate to even those who are not online.
So when you explain to your colleagues, let's say about something like your views on the IT Act of 2012 or about net neutrality, increasingly, do you find it to be easier, or is it still a hurdle to, especially something like net neutrality, to make them understand the nuances of it? How easy is it?
See, let's be fair. It's not just about technology. As I said, our
True, true.
system does not encourage specialization for politicians. So, for example, we don't have a system of shadow cabinet, right? So, in
Can you explain
most
what
other
that is?
democracies, so in the UK, for instance, you have the cabinet, which is the government of the day, and then in the main opposition party appoints members as, for example, shadow home minister. That
Oh,
person specializes in the home ministry functions. And if that opposition party were to come to government, that person would become the home minister. And you would
okay.
have a shadow finance minister or a shadow technology minister. These are the people who focus on that domain. They gain knowledge. They can ask tough questions to the government. And if their party comes to government, then they hold that portfolio in government. Now, because we don't have such a system, there is a general lack of incentive for specialization, and it is not just about technology, it's in general.
Right, right.
So, that is a fundamental thing that you have to understand. Now, when you add technology to that, it becomes more complex because technology is very rapidly changing. Now, if you compare, let us say, economic knowledge, similarly, there is a similar lack of incentive to gain economic knowledge in politics. But economic knowledge doesn't change dramatically from month to month and year to year. The basis of what causes inflation and all is generally, is well understood. Whereas technology can change dramatically, so it makes it much more complex to keep up to date. So yes, when net neutrality became a hot topic, and I took a stand on it 3 years ago, most peers would not understand it. There were hardly two or three people in parliament who would have understood the issue in full
Mhm.
detail. But you can safely say that today maybe that number has gone up to maybe 10 or 20 members who understand net neutrality.
And to be fair, yeah,
So
it's a
it's
very
still
nuanced topic.
it's a very nuanced topic. So net neutrality is a very, very cutting edge topic. As you know, even in America, it has gone back and forth, and recently the FCC has gone back on it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's a very, very cutting edge topic which keeps changing. So yes, these are the kind of topics that are very difficult to have sort of a good traction with in the political spectrum.
So, Mr. Panda, just continuing on that, we've seen, like you said, increasing use of technology by all lawmakers. Like you said, of course, even our Prime Minister has his own app. You've been at the forefront. You've, in fact, like you said, you were the first, one of the first to have a website. In fact, from what I understand, globally, one of the first politicians to have a website. So, apart from these, do you see anyone using technology for better governance? Have you seen any examples which you are particularly proud of, or which you have tried to emulate?
Yes, and it can be very simple or it can be very sophisticated.
Mm-hmm.
So, even if you turn the clock back just 2 or 3 years ago, already there was a use of bulk SMSing to
Right.
reach out people. And some people had SMS based systems for getting feedback and getting complaints and processing those complaints. Now, it was not a very efficient system, but it served some purpose. Now, as you moved on, and many millions of people have access to, say, WhatsApp or even social media apps,
Right.
like platforms like Facebook and Twitter, you have WhatsApp groups dedicated for certain aspects. So, for example, almost every politician is part of some WhatsApp group. I use instant messaging platforms, both WhatsApp and Telegram, to because I have a large team of volunteers and large team of people who help campaign for me and also give me feedback. So we use that, and it is based on topic, so that we can keep track of developmental projects, we can keep track of political issues. So these are simple examples. Now there are consultants who have mushroomed in the last 5 years, who come and pitch to politicians with all kinds of savvy interfaces that you
Mm-hmm.
can run off your iPad to keep track of all kinds of data. Voter data at a booth level is available in unprocessed form. But many consultants are taking that data and are slicing and dicing it and making it usable for political marketing purposes and political analysis purposes. So even politicians who don't understand technology are able to take advantage of that, because there are service providers, vendors who are doing these things for them.
And okay, I think even companies like even the big ones like Microsoft and Google, I think they have been uh, at least vocal about offering their support uh, to the government in helping them manage data and getting all this, like you said, cutting edge technology for governance.
Yes, for governance also, there are a lot of these schemes happening. I think, let me use an analogy. So if you look at the business world, the hot uh, fad some years ago, maybe a decade ago, was ERP. Right?
Right.
Many companies used to have individual standalone silos of information. HR department would have its own thing, marketing would have its own thing, and then you started getting these ERP systems which were integrated, and you are seeing a similar process happen in governance today as far as using technology goes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of platforms coming up for e-governance, but I think we are still only scratching the surface. Um, I'll give you an example. One of the most fundamental issues in India is that you don't have digital records for all kinds of things, such as land ownership.
Right.
Some states have taken some initiatives, like Andhra Pradesh and a few other states.
Yes.
But if you deal in real estate, the basics of verifying who owns the property that you are buying, is it legal, is somebody pulling a fast one on you, is still much more complicated in India than in any other country.
True.
But this can be solved, I think, in the next few years with the use of GIS systems and other technological
Right.
apps which are not being done. So I think whatever is being done is quite impressive compared to 5, 10 years ago. but we have only just started scratching the surface.
Yeah, I think I read about some blockchain-based land records thing in Telangana and Karnataka, which is in a pilot stage.
Yes.
So, okay, let me shift a little bit, shift gears a little bit. You were also, one of the first to embrace Twitter. So, was that? I mean, did you have any thought behind it, or was that the geek side of you saying, okay, there's something new, let me just see what it was, or you knew what it was going to be, let's say 10 years down the line?
So I was actually one of the first to use Facebook about a dozen years ago.
Uh-huh.
I had resisted Twitter for a few years after that. For about 4 or 5 years, I resisted Twitter until I was sort of shamed on national television that how come as a tech savvy, how come as a tech savvy MP I was not on Twitter. But I do enjoy Twitter because with its brevity, it forces you to think very clearly, communicate very precisely. So I use Twitter and Facebook quite often, but I don't necessarily use all kinds of other social media or other platforms. As I said, as far as a politician who had a hobby and interest in technology, that was quite novel 10 years, 15 years ago. Today, it is not so novel. Most of my colleagues have the latest gadgets. Many of my colleagues are on Twitter today, which was not the case 3 or 4 years ago. So the how should I say, the rising tide sort of raises all boats.
Right, right.
So the general usage, the general adoption of technology, the general comfort level with technology has increased a lot, which means you don't have to be very far ahead of the curve to get your needs met. Today, even if you are just in line with what is current today, it meets most of your needs.
True, true. Okay, now we've come to, if you thought the previous one was a little too heavy, we have come to the fun part. We have a little bit of a rapid fire round. Again, like I said, you're not going to win a
Okay.
car or a hamper, but I can promise you that if you're ever
But
in
I must,
Hyderabad, you'll get a chai and a biryani. That's an assured gift.
I'll take the biryani, but I'll take a coffee instead of the chai.
Then in that case,
And
filter coffee from my house.
by the way, yes, filter coffee is one of my favorite drinks. By the way, I must point out that I'm not a real techie. I'm just somebody who has worked in other fields, who has a passion for technology. So, I'm not a coder. I just did a little bit of coding in college for my engineering degree, but I've never done coding for work. So I'm not a real techie in many sense, but I'll try to answer your question.
Okay. So these are, of course, we have not started with the tech questions yet. I'm just going to fire up the first question. What phone do you carry? Android, iOS, what do you have?
I use one of each. I use both an iPhone as well as an Android. I think both have their advantages. So
Which Android phone, if I can
carry
ask?
one of each. So my Android phone has not been updated for a year. It's the OnePlus 5.
A good one. Yeah. Okay. Who's the most
Very
tech
good
savvy
one.
politician? You can't name yourself.
If I don't name myself, then I suppose somebody like Rajiv Chandrasekhar is quite tech
Oh,
savvy.
yeah, I bet. Okay. Who's the least tech savvy?
No, that's not a fair question, and it would be
I thought I'll
embarrassing.
get. It doesn't hurt to ask.
There are too many people in that category for me to name.
Okay. Okay. This one again, you can. I'm trying out my luck here. If your phone was hacked, who would you rather that the data go to? Your opposition or your wife?
No, if my phone was hacked, I'd rather it goes to my wife. But I'd rather my phone was not hacked at all.
Would be all. Okay. What's your biggest grouse with smartphones? Is it battery life? Is it what do you hate the most?
My biggest grouse is not with the smartphones themselves, but with the state of our telecom system, because we don't really have proper high-speed connectivity everywhere. Even though there's been a lot of improvement, uh, every time I go outside the country, I really experience what is true 4G. Now, in India, you experience true 4G only in certain parts of the metro city,
Urbans, yeah.
but not all parts. In Delhi itself, the 40-minute drive from my residence to the airport means I have connectivity only 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So about 25 minutes, I have no connectivity, not even 2G. I mean, I struggle to even have a phone call on 2G, let alone 3G or
I
4G
totally,
connectivity.
yeah.
So my
Yeah.
biggest grouse, my biggest grouse is external to the smartphone. But in the smartphones, I would say battery life has become addressed quite a lot. For a few years, I used to carry mid-range Android phones simply because they had 5,000 mAh batteries. And now, most the latest iPhones and the latest high-end Androids have pretty good battery life. And also, you've got very light, slim power banks that you can carry along. But battery life used to be one of my biggest grouses. Nowadays, it's not so much.
Okay, any game that you're addicted to, any mobile game which you find yourself playing, maybe not in Parliament, but sometimes in the airport, maybe.
No, yes and no. I don't play any of the typical games, but I do something that's related. So there is a program called Lumosity.
Uh-huh.
Lumosity is a platform for mental exercises. It's supposed to keep you sharp, improve your memory,
Yes, subscription based one.
and practice logic, practice numbers, practice comprehension of sentences. So they are all structured like games.
Uh-huh.
So I do that a couple of times a week. So they're like games, but they actually are designed to keep you mentally alert. It's like exercise for the brain.
So we'll have a link to the app in our show notes. So anyone who's listening, if you want to download that game, would you recommend this, Mr. Panda, Lumosity?
Lumosity, yes. Now it's Lumosity.
Okay.
Lumosity. It used to be free for a long time. Now it's sort of a
It's a
freemium model
subscription
where
based
you
one.
get some limited access. No, it's a freemium. I think some parts of it are free. Basic exercises are free. Beyond that, you have to have a subscription model. But it's very good. It's games, and you enjoy playing them, but they serve a purpose. Each one has a specific purpose, whether it is memory or numbers or words or cognition. It's exercise for your
Okay.
brain.
Now we are going to the last five. These are the geek questions. So I'm just going to start off. Marshmallow, nougat, Oreo, pie. What am I talking about?
Well, these are the versions of
Perfect.
Android.
Name two digital assistants.
Bixby and
Wow.
Siri.
Okay. Bixby. I would just give an extra point to you right for that. What's the latest version of, let's say, the Windows or Mac OS? I don't know which one you use.
Mac, I think, Mac is 12. I stopped using Windows many years ago, so I
Okay.
don't remember.
And what was the phone that became infamous a couple of years ago for its batteries blowing up?
Oh, I had that
You
phone.
did?
That was the Samsung Note 7.
For a frequent flyer, I can imagine the number of times you would have been stopped.
That broke my heart because I was so happy with that phone, but they insisted I return it. Every model goes through iterations, and a certain edition is superb, and that was really superb. I was so happy with it. I used it for hardly 2 months,
What
and
a
then I had
pity.
to return it in.
Okay, the last one. This is how many characters does Twitter allow now?
280.
5 on 5. You're a certified geek, sir. If you choose to accept the title, and like I said, you won a biryani and a filter
Thank
coffee at
you.
Extemir in Hyderabad.
Look forward to it.
And
Look forward.
that's it. Do you just want to tell our readers about your book for a minute?
Yes, so I have been a columnist and writer, and I'm a very voracious reader. I read about 50 books a year, all
Mhm.
non-fiction. I have, in fact, a
Yes.
Twitter feed dedicated to my reading, and it's called Books Panda. So anybody who wants to get quick updates on interesting books, that's a feed to go to. The book I've written is called Lutyens Maverick: Ground Realities, Hard Choices in Tomorrow's India. The launch is tomorrow. It's just become available online on Amazon and Flipkart, and will be in bookstores from day after tomorrow onwards. Do take a look
Thank you, and we'll have a link to the book as well. So thank you so much for joining us, sir, and we look forward to more of you in 2019, and we wish you a lot of success in 2019 in the upcoming elections as well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, and bye-bye. So Vinayak, Jay Panda must have surprised you with his geek knowledge.
Yeah, I was really surprised because even you were kind of skeptical if he was going to be as good as he is.
I did. In fact, I asked him upfront before we started recording whether he would be okay for a tech interview. A tech quiz, rapid fire one. I honestly expected him to avoid it, but he not only bravely took it on and aced it. Knowing all the Android versions.
Can we answer all those questions?
I think thankfully the question paper leak ho gaya, so I know the answers. That's very unfair. So we hope you enjoyed the interview, and every week we are going to have lots more coming. Not necessarily interviews. You're going to be having a lot of new features. And if you want to watch somebody, any of your favorite celebs or anyone you want to know the geek side of somebody you love, let us know, and we'll try to get them on air and find out the geek side of people. Yeah. I would love to know what phone Katrina Kaif uses, and what's Ranbir Kapoor's favorite phone, or what is his favorite app, or whether Virat Kohli, whether he's the iPhone guy or he's the Android guy. So we'll hopefully get to know sometime. Now, enough time with friendship.
Yes,
we've had in the past app picks. Vinayak has had his app picks. I have every year. That's something which you guys always tell us that you like. We thought 2019, let's make it the year of enmity for this. Let's bring some fight. Okay. So it's not just going to be app picks anymore. It's going to be a geek versus geek battle.
Oh.
So every week, Vinayak and I are again going to have app picks. But this time, it's a battle for votes. So Vinayak, after we give out our app picks, we'll leave it to the folks on Twitter and on email and WhatsApp. Let's see. It's also the year of the polls also, 2019. So let's get into election season. What's your app pick?
Okay, so generally, in order to maybe drive you all to my side, I chose the app called IMGUR, which is generally a sharing app where most of the people share their images on it. But the important point here is that these images are first maybe seen here before it goes anywhere else, because whatever goes on to Reddit as an image goes here before that. So if you want something where you can see, like, you can take your topic, you can look at images on whatever, like you want jokes, you want anything, like you want tech, everything is available over in this place. So make sure you check out IMGUR. It's a great app to waste your time actually.
I hate to score a self goal, but yeah, I am Jur or I am Gur as I like to call it.
That's why I said IMGUR.
I am Gur or whatever it is. Awesome one, because if you are the kind of person, you always get the forwards on WhatsApp, or you see these really clever memes on Facebook or Twitter or wherever, and you always wonder where they start off. This is the place. So if you get the IMGUR app, IMGUR, it's available both on iPhone and Android.
Yeah.
And of course, it's also a website, so you can go to imgur.com,
yeah.
I assume.
So suppose you want to share somewhere, you can upload it to IMGUR and then copy the link from there also.
Yeah, excellent. So IMGUR is the place to be for all your all those viral content which you see.
You see it there first, so that's what you can really say.
After, unfortunately, I'm already having second thoughts on why I endorsed your app pick, but here I go with mine. My app pick for today is Tunnel Bear.
He's supposed to be the non-geeker.
Yeah, which is surprising. You went with the social pick and I'm going with a hardcore geek one. So Tunnel Bear is a VPN app. And if you're already fading out and wondering what the hell, I don't want to know what is a VPN also.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. If you have a Netflix subscription and you really hate the fact that Netflix in US has more catalog than Netflix in India, install Tunnel Bear, select US as your VPN server. Just click, it burrows through and it gives you a US IP address. And as far as Netflix is concerned, or as far as any service is concerned, you are in the country where you have connected to your VPN. So you can connect to, let's say, US, and immediately you will be able to access all the US catalog. And again, there are many sites which are blocked in India. I am not going to the details of that. You must have seen it in the news. So if you want to access any sites or access any content which is not available in India, use a VPN, and TunnelBear is one of the well-known VPN providers.
Yes.
And the free app, I think, gives you up to 500 MB starting with, and you can tweet them out for additional 500 MB. You can spread the word and earn extra free space. So of course, VPN is a good thing, not just to access content which is not available to you, but VPN is also used to protect your privacy. So if you have again read in the news about the government snooping around and having access to all your stuff, and if you are feeling a little bit jittery about that, you should consider a VPN solution. So my pick is TunnelBear. It's one of the best VPN solutions around, and I've tried it out. It works with Netflix, which makes me happy.
Yeah. But I think Netflix is always trying to find out how you are actually trying to.
Don't try to water down my words. Don't listen to him. Right now, Netflix works, and we are going to have a Twitter poll. So if you are, if you want to waste your time with memes, do that. But if you want to spend quality,
if you want to watch more Netflix where things you can't watch, go with him.
If you want access to quality Netflix content not available in India, vote for me. Yeah. And I promise to get you better, more fun apps next time around.
I think so. I'm going to be fun as soon as they open up the page, which I have.
Yes, we're not even going to go there. So that's pretty much our first episode. But before we go, any YouTube videos on our channel which you want to plug?
I don't know, if you all are actually following our YouTube channel, then you must have seen all those VR videos that I have actually uploaded recently.
If you've not checked it out, that's something you should be looking at. So Vinayak has his VR videos come.
Yeah.
You've got 3 up right now?
I got 2 videos up already, and I have the one video on how to set up the HTC Vive.
Amazing. I mean, I have fun just looking at it, and I can't wait to get to his house and try out the HTC Vive.
Yeah.
So these are, he has a whole series of VR videos planned, and you can stay tuned for a lot more. So those are the videos on our YouTube channel, and you find them on search for Talking Stuff Net, and that's the easiest way to find it. Or you can visit us at talkingstuff.net, and it links to our YouTube. And if you like this podcast, you might also like our other podcast, which is Attention Bliss podcast. So it's available wherever this one is. Search for Attention Bliss, Attention PLISS. And we have Arnab Ray talking about politics, about cricket, about entertainment. And we've got wonderful guests there as well. So tune into that.
Yep.
WhatsApp. You can reach us before we end. You can reach out to us. Ask us your tech questions. We have the Resident Geek. So we'll feature you on WhatsApp. Ask the Geeks, sorry. Yeah. We'll feature you on Ask the Geeks. Our WhatsApp number is 96525 78833. And if you do check your keypad, you'll see that it reads 96525 stuff, STUFF. So that's 96525 78833. Send in voice messages, send in your messages asking any tech questions, and letting me know that you loved my pick, and you can let Vinayak know how much I am Geo or Sud. And nah, I'm just kidding. Vote for your favorite app, and we'll see you next time around.
Yep.
Thanks, and bye-bye.
See you. Bye.
Make sure to like this video and also subscribe to the channel. Also make sure to click on the notification bell to be informed when new videos are added.